Hi, my apologies, I'm running late tonight. I had a mental blank and almost didn't think of it. I had a trip to see a cardiologist today to talk about some irregular heartbeats I have, but the good news is he says he's told me what causes it. He says there's not much you can do about it, but it's not dangerous. So hopefully I'm going to be right. I saw a cardiologist in 21 and in 2016 who was less sure about it, so I was a bit concerned. Interestingly, a couple of years ago I discovered that I had the hormonal blood pressure. 10% of blood pressure is caused by a hormone called aldosterone that's produced in the adrenal gland right next to where adrenaline is produced. And Japan is the only country in the world that routinely tests it for it. And the signs are that you end up as I did on 4 different blood pressure medicines, still not very well controlled, and it varies. It's worse when you lie down and better when you stand up, and of course it's affected by stress and anxiety. And you just have a simple blood test and you know whether you've got it or not. I learned about it strangely by reading the Financial Review. The Financial Review had an article in it about a Chinese lady doctor in Melbourne who was researching this problem, and her father was a 65-year-old engineer who was on 4 blood pressure medicines and wasn't well controlled. So she tested him for this hormonal cause, aldosterone, found that he had that problem, and then his blood pressure was well managed on 1/4 of 1 tablet. Well, mine is reasonably well managed on 2 tablets, not 4. I want to talk about something that I think we may be able to solve the whole problem of mental ill health and addiction, which have become such big problems and are increasing. And people have to wait 6 months to see a psychiatrist about it. Or if they can't afford a private psychiatrist, and they're expensive, there are long waiting lists to see free government mental health clinics. The conclusion that I've come to, and I want to talk to a few other people about it before I'm 100% sure, but I'm 98% sure, is that mental health problems like anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, ADD, are bad habits. Bad habits. And the best way to fix them is to break the habit and to make a new good habit in its place. Now, what is a habit? A habit is something that you do over and over and over again until it becomes almost automatic. It takes very little to trigger it. You don't think about it, You don't put much effort into it, it just happens, and it's quite hard to stop. So how does all that happen? Well, everything that happens in us happens because of an electrical message or a chemistry message sent from a controlling part of us to an action part of us. The main controlling part is our brain, and that's where most of the messages come that cause feelings or actions. But quite a few messages also come from our gut, and a few messages come from other parts of us. And the message is either an electrical message sent from a controlling or managing part along a nerve or nerves, or a chemical or chemicals that are sent in the blood flow or in a line of cells from one cell to the next cell to the action part, the feeling or action part. Now, we have nerves that go from our brain to every smallest part of our body that the nerves reach to. And we have blood vessels that go from our heart to every smallest part of our body. The tip of our toe has got nerves and blood vessels in it. The tip of our fingers, everywhere. And those networks of nerves or blood vessels are very, very complex. They are so, how will I say, they're so zigzagged and such a network that the first time a message is sent, it takes a while to get through. But if you keep doing something, because the message keeps coming through, the pathway that message follows, whether it's in nerves or in blood vessels, in lines of cells, gets more and more of a highway. It starts out like a bush track and it ends up like a highway or a speedway. The more times that message is sent, the more time you do that thing or feel that feeling. And in fact, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, the messages get very strong, they flow very fast, they're very easily triggered, they're very hard to stop, and your brain doesn't have much to do with them. Your brain has so much to do that it focuses on the difficult things, on the new things, on the things that need to be changed or are changing, but the things that are just happening almost automatically, the brain doesn't get very involved. So those things just go on happening. And they start in your first year of life. I don't know whether they start when you're in your mother's uterus, but I know that they do start in your first year of life. The two most important habits start in your first year of life. Those two habits are your feeling or emotional habits. Are you a happy baby or a grumpy baby? or a sad baby or a lonely baby. And the other habit, so the first habit is the emotional habits, the emotional nature you develop, and the second is the relationship habits you develop. Are you a friendly baby, or are you a grumpy, unfriendly baby? Are you a lonely baby or a gregarious baby? Because what happens is that when we're born, we're completely helpless. Our heart beats, we breathe, and we suck. And that's it. We can't go and get some food. It has to be brought to us. It has to be brought to us every 3 hours to begin with, day and night, week after week. And if we're wet or dirty or cold, there's nothing we can do about it except cry, and someone fixes us. And what happens is, if when we cry, we get fixed very well, very quickly, we're happy, we're confident. By our 6th day, we can smell when our mother is there. We can smell our mother by our 6th day, and we have a good feeling when she's close by. We don't think about it, but we sort of know that what we want, we're going to get. But of course, if our mother is inexperienced, she's only 16, she's had nothing to do with babies, or she's 38 and never had anything to do with babies, or for some reason she's not good with babies, she's inexperienced, or she's so busy. She had one baby every year for 4 years. I can remember people like that. I can remember, still picture a lady probably 50, maybe 55 years ago who had 7 sons. And another woman who had 9 children in a 3-bedroom house with only 1 bathroom and 1 toilet. And there were 5 boys and 4 girls, or it might have been 5, the other way around, 5 girls and 4 boys, or 5 boys and 4 girls, I don't know which. But when one got sick, they all got sick. When one got the measles, they all got measles. In those days, there wasn't immunisation against measles. When one got the mumps, they all got the mumps. When one got a virus, they all got the virus. So some mothers were just too damn busy. And of course, some of them had to go to work. Today, we don't have 7 or 9 babies, but women go to work. And they often have to start to work when their baby's only 3 months old. So they do a day's work and come back, and they've got to look after the baby. It needs to be fed every 3 hours over the night, and it needs to be kept clean and dry and warm, and all the things that babies need. So if the mother's not experienced or too busy, or she's not supported, mothers support babies, but mothers need support. Mothers need a supportive, attentive husband, or they need their mothers to help them. And sometimes they're sick. Sometimes they've got the flu, or they can't sleep, or they've got depression. Depression is a very serious problem for a mother and baby. So sometimes the baby doesn't get what it needs when it needs it, and it has to cry too long. And that's where unhappy feelings can develop. Feelings of anxiety, because what you need you haven't got, and how it usually happens isn't happening. so you get anxious. Or you feel lonely. Your mother's not there. She takes too long to come. You feel lonely. Or you feel sad. Or you feel grumpy. You get angry. So in your first year, you develop, you may start to develop unhappy, unhealthy habits. And a few babies are so precious, their mother and their family need them so much that they fuss over them, do everything for them, that the baby thinks it's the center of the world, and whatever it wants, everybody's got to do it. And that child grows up selfish. And selfishness is a real problem. So habits start in our first year, maybe before we're born, I don't know, but certainly in the first year. The first year, I think, is the most important year of your life. The first year and the care you have in the first year of your life is the most important in your life. And then, of course, there are problems later when you're 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10. Things hit you. And they may cause unhappy feeling habits. And I think that's where depression and anxiety and mental illnesses come from. Their habits. Because, let's face it, there are no perfect mothers, there are no perfect fathers, there are no perfect families, there are no perfect communities. The world is not perfect. So it was inevitable that we should sometimes suffer and go without and be worried. It's inevitable. All of us have some degree of that. It might be mild, it might be moderate, or it might be severe. Sadly, some babies, some children have severe problems. I always remember, I can still picture them, a woman who was 28 and her 6-year-old daughter and her 4-year-old son. And this woman had a bad heart. She'd had rheumatic fever, which used to be common. Never hear about it these days. It used to be common. She had a rheumatic fever, which gummed up the valves in her heart. So she couldn't do very much. She got breathless if she tried to. And so she couldn't look after her children properly. And the 6-year-old girl was a rebel. How she responded to that was, she was a rebel. She was a handful. And how did the little boy respond? He was a conscientious. He was a conch. He was so good. Yeah. So I think most mental health problems are bad habits. And that we do much better if we treated them as that. So what do I mean by that? Well, the controlling parts of us, mostly our brain, to some extent our gut, and a little bit other parts, send messages to every other part of our body to do this or do that. You know, I'm waving my finger. Where's that coming from? It's coming from my brain through a nerve. So the messages come from a managing or controlling part, mostly your brain, a little bit your gut, through nerves or chemicals flowing in the blood or chemicals passing from cell to cell in a line of cells. And if what they do over and over and over again, that becomes almost automatic. It's very easily triggered. It just happens. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do it. It just happens. And it's hard to stop. And if it's good, that's great. And if it's bad, that's not good. That's a mental ill health problem. So how do you break a bad habit? One of the most important things that we can do is to learn to make good habits and learn to break bad habits. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. The best book, by the way, is called Atomic Habits by James, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name at the moment, but Atomic Habits. Look it up on Amazon and get it. The first thing you do to make a good habit is you imagine or picture exactly how you want your life to be better and happier. And then you imagine or picture exactly what the new habit is going to be that will give you that better, happier life. It might be something to do with your diet, it might be something to do with exercise, it might be something to do with education or relationships, but that's what you do. And then you make the new habit convenient, easy and enjoyable as possible. So it's easier to do it. You do it more often. You do it over and over again. And the way that you make habits is you just do something over and over and over again until the messages flow very freely, and then you've got a new habit. And how do you break a bad habit? First of all, you imagine or picture exactly how you want your life to be better and happier. Just picture and imagine exactly how you want your life to be better and happier. And tell other people, talk to other people about how you want your life to be happier and better. And then you imagine or picture exactly what you're going to stop doing, the habit you're going to break, to get that better life, to get that better, happier life. And thirdly, you take non-addictive medicines, not methadone, not Suboxone, not Ritalin, nothing addictive that reduces your urge to do the bad habit or weakens the addiction cravings as much as possible. And you also make them inconvenient, difficult, unpleasant if possible. Then every time you get the urge to do them, or you start to do them, you stop and you delay doing the habit or the addiction as long as possible. And that weakens the habit, it weakens the messages. The message's strength is frequency of doing it. If you delay it, it gets a bit weaker, and also it allows your chemistry and your functioning to go a bit back more to normal. And when it weakens a bit, the next time you can delay it a little bit longer, and you can delay it a bit longer, a bit longer, a bit longer, and eventually sometimes you can miss doing it. You can miss doing the bad habit, or you can miss doing the addiction. and then you start to be able to miss it more often and more often and more often, until eventually you can quit. You can quit the bad habit, or you can quit the addiction. And by that time, your chemistry and your functioning are much more normal, so you're much less likely to relapse. Because going cold turkey, which is what a lot of people tell you, just suddenly do it, you're still deformed by the abnormal effect of the chemistry, of the bad habit, or of the addictive chemical, or the addictive habit, like gambling or sexaholism. You still, all those patterns are still there. But if what you've done is you've just slowly delayed them, occasionally skipped them, more often skipped them, eventually quit, you're much less likely to relapse. We just launched a new site called SmileFixit.com. SmileFixit.com. We haven't got much stuff on it yet, but we're going to put all this stuff on there. So I realize, I mean, the advantage of videos is you can watch them over and over and over again. And it's taken me a long time to learn this, so don't expect to learn it in half an hour. But just keep on going over and over and over, and you will learn it. And I think we're going to be able to make big progress with this. Now I'm getting a bit confused, so let me collect my thoughts a bit. Yeah, so a habit is something that you do over and over and over and over again till the electrical or chemical messages that trigger it, their pathway gets faster and faster. It goes from being a crooked bush track to being a race, to being a racing highway, and the messages get stronger and stronger. They're like lifting weights. The more you lift weights, the more muscles you get. The more you do a habit, the stronger it gets. The more automatic it gets. The less it takes to trigger it, to do it. And the harder it is to stop. So I want to say something about medicines. You know why we've got so much mental health problem and so much addiction? It's because the tools are crook. Everything these days is done with good tools. If there isn't a good tool, someone makes one. Everywhere there's good tools, good tools. I can remember when in the kitchen there was a wood stove you had to light every day and keep putting bits of wood on it, and there was a big tin dish that you wash your dishes in. Now there's electricity, there's gas, there's a electric or gas stove and oven, there's a dishwasher, there's running water. We didn't have running water where I was when I was young. And there's tools, and there's tools in the garden, and there's tools in the garage, and then you get to the tools. my father would just have so much loved to have an iPhone and a laptop. But there's no iPhones or laptops then. And they're getting better and better. But what are the tools for mental health and addiction? The first tool is talk therapy, counselling. I've been doing that for hundreds of years. And it's got two very big weaknesses. The first weakness is that to be a good counsellor or therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist, you have to have years and years of training. And you have to be the right sort of person. And unfortunately, quite a lot of the wrong sort of people go into those fields and do all that training, and they're not very good. So that means that good talk therapists are few and far between, and they're expensive, and most people get no good talk therapy, and as far as I can see, nobody gets enough good therapy. And the second bad thing about talk therapy is it's so slow. It's so slow. In a good 1-minute video that you can watch over and over and over again, you can get better information than in 15 or 30 minutes of talk therapy, which you only get once, and then it's a few weeks before you see the person again, and by that time you're confused or you've forgotten. So it's talk therapy so slow. And the second tool in mental health and addiction is medicine. Wow, that's a minefield. There's such a great conflict of interest between the people who take medicines and the businesses that make medicines. The people that take medicines, they want a medicine that works quickly, works well. They don't need to take it for that long, and they're better, and they don't need to take it anymore. The people that make medicines want you to take as much medicine as possible for as long as possible, and they don't care if it's slow, and they make a lot of the medicines addictive, so you get hooked on them. You know, nearly all of anxiety, worry, poor sleep type problems are the commonest mental health problem, and almost everything for them, every medicine is addictive. I can remember the barbiturates a long time ago, there was lots of them, and they were all addictive. And then in the 60s, we started to get Valium and Sarapax and Mogadon and other things that I can't remember the names of, but they were all addictive. And that group of medicines, you know what they're called, I can't remember at the moment. One of the later ones was Xanax, and Xanax is such a wonderful calming medicine when you first take it, but if you take it for a month, it's really hard to stop. And if you do take it for longer than that and you do stop, you're worse than you were when you started. A few years ago, I did a search. Every year in America, they have a list of the 100 most prescribed medicines, and Xanax was the most prescribed medicine for 3 years in a row. And that wasn't because it was brilliant, it was because so many people were hooked on it. And I was very happy a few months ago to look up the 100 most prescribed medicines and find Xanax was number 50, or about number 50. So they've got past that problem. But medicine's got big problems. But I ended up, because I'm retired now, but I ended up not prescribing anything that was addictive and prescribing fast-acting medicines that people could get off. And what was that? That was powder medicine. Because when you swallow a tablet or a capsule, it takes a long time to go right down your gut and by an indirect route into the blood flow, and then to flow to whichever part of your body it needs to go to, mostly the brain. But tablets and capsules and anything swallowed takes half an hour to an hour to start to work and 1 to 2 hours to reach peak effect. But if you drop powder medicine on your tongue and don't swallow it, you suck it, it starts to work in 5 minutes and it reaches peak effect in 10 to 15 minutes. Your tongue is pink or red because the blood vessels are so close to the surface, and when you drop medicine as tiny fine granules on your tongue and suck it, don't swallow it, it gets into your bloodstream so quickly, gets to your brain, starts to work in 5 minutes, and it reaches peak effect benefit between 10 and 15 minutes. So it's quick. And if it tastes really good, and we used to put very nice taste in it, you develop taste conditioning. And what does that mean? That means that your body, this is related, I learned this from Pavlov's dog. Pavlov's dogs used to salivate when they heard him coming because they knew he was bringing some meat and they were going to eat it, and then they were going to salivate. And after a while they'd start to salivate when they heard his footsteps coming up the hallway. Well, if you make powder medicine taste nice, your body gets used to taking the medicine, having a lovely taste, and then the medicine making you better. And then taste conditioning is that your body starts to get better as soon as you taste it. You drop it on your tongue, it gets your taste buds at the back of your tongue, starts working in a few seconds. So if you're trying not to have a panic attack, trying to suppress social phobia, you've got to go somewhere and you're going to be anxious, so you've got to stop it quickly, or you've got to make a speech or receive a prize or something, and you want to make it work quickly. Powder is the way. And the other medicine where addiction is such a problem is, or the other ailment is ADD, ADHD. The 3 medicines usually used for ADD are all addictive. That's dexamphetamine, Ritalin and Adderall. We'll make it safe. We'll restrict it. Only specialists can prescribe it. None of those rough GPs giving it to everyone. So you have to go to a pediatrician or a psychiatrist to get it. So you have to wait 6 months, go to some strange faraway place. You can't just go down to your local doctor and get it. So one of the main features of ADD, or the main features of ADD, are poor focusing and concentration, impulsivity and overactivity. Most people are hyperactive, a few are underactive, but most are hyperactive. But they're impulsive. So this poor kid, whose family not very well off, and both his parents are working, and he's not doing well, and he hears about this speed or this ice that fixes it. So instead of waiting to see a specialist, they impulsively take medicine, even if they know that they're going to end up being an addict, which they do. So powder. I ended up having 6 different powders that covered everything. And I made these pocket dispensers. You put the powder in there, this powder in there, and you have that in your pocket, and it's got the powder you need. And as soon as you feel you need the effect of the medicine, whiz it out, drop it on your tongue, suck it, don't swallow, and in 5 minutes or even in seconds after a while, it'll start to relieve you of the urge to do the bad habit or the craving to have the addictive substance. So what you do to break a bad habit, you imagine or picture how you want to be happier and mentally healthier. And you imagine or picture exactly what you're going to stop doing in order to achieve that. And then if possible, you get a fast-acting medicine that partly relieves the habit or the addiction and helps you to postpone it. When you get the urge, you don't do it straight away, you postpone it for a while. And postponing bad habits or addictions weakens them. And it allows you to become a bit more normal, which strengthens you. And the next time you can postpone it a little bit longer and you get a little bit more normal, and eventually you can sometimes miss doing the habit or miss doing the addictive substance, and that weakens it even more, and then more and more often you can delay it for quite a long time or skip it altogether until eventually you can quit. And when you do quit, if you've still got the medicine, and the fact that you have come back to normal, more to normal, means that you're not going to relapse. Because so many people who quit cold turkey quit very quickly and they've still got all their problems and drives and urges, relapse. Every day is a battle not to relapse. Not a good life. What we need for mental health and addiction is good tools. There's 3 things I think I've come to the conclusion after working on this problem for 27 years, 11 years in retirement, is we need good tools, a complete pack of good tools. Secondly, we need self-help. There's never, ever, ever going to be enough doctors and psychologists and therapists and so on to give all the people that need help all the help they need. They've got to have such good tools that they can do at least some of it themselves. There'll be some people who can do all of it themselves with the good tools. Some people can do 3/4 of it. Some people can only do half it, and they still have to have therapists and doctors. But the waiting lists will be so much shorter if a lot of people are doing. There'll be some people that can do very little. They're still pretty dependent, but hopefully the 6-month waiting lists will be 3 days or something like that. And the other thing is that they must start early. Problems always cause more problems, and they usually get worse and worse. Okay, a few people without any special tools get over their problems, but usually what happens is that the problems get worse the longer they are. If you get them straight away as soon as they start, you know what the cause is. You can see what happened, what caused it, and that's very important to know what the cause is. And it's just that problem. It's not complications. If you get a kid that's got ADD and they struggle, I have an extended family member who was fine, but they had a learning difficulty that caught up with them by, I think, second or third year at school, and they could never learn to read properly. And with ADD, same thing. Bad education, poor employment, unemployment, low wages, sometimes no wages, and low self-esteem because of these problems. Friends with other troubled kids. So problems lead to problems and often get worse and worse and worse. So you need to get them early. The way you do that is online with good tools. So where's my phone? Oh, I'm looking for my phone. There it is. I'm talking to it. So you need, if possible, a smartphone, and you need an app. So we made an app, the Mental Fix-It app. And you need lots of 1-minute videos. 10-minute videos don't work anymore. People don't watch 10-minute videos. I made my first one 10 years ago and I got 10,000 views in 9 months, and I thought I knew what I was doing, but they stopped watching them. I made a total of 31 long videos and they just didn't get watched. And when I made 1-minute videos, they got watched. And so I made 50 and then another 10. So now I've got 100. Because you can only deal with one thing in a 1-minute video, and there are lots of things, so you have to lots of 1-minute videos. But which problems have you got? So which videos should you watch? Well, you need an app to tell you that. So let's pretend this is your smartphone. On your smartphone, you find your App Store icon or button, or your Google Play icon, and press it, and in 10 seconds you download the Mental Fix-It app, and it's free. And the Mental Fix-It app asks 38 questions which cover every significant part of your life. 38 questions, that can take, no, you can do it in 10 minutes. For each question, you've got a choice of 3 answers. No, it's not a problem for me. Yes, it's a moderate problem. Yes, it's a bad problem. So you just go tap, tap, tap. You can do the 38 questions in 10 minutes the first time, and as you do the last, you tap your answer for the last question, an instant report comes up on the screen, and the screen tells you the 4 things you need to know. It tells you which 6 videos will help you most with your particular problems that you tapped severe for. And you can watch those 6 1-minute videos in 10 minutes. And then you can watch them again. And you can watch them as many times as you need to understand. And there's no faster better, more interesting way to understand problems, mental health problems and addictions, than to watch a 1-minute video. So the report tells you which 6-minute videos. It tells you which medicines are most likely to work for your particular problems. It gives you a list of all your problems in descending order of importance. The worst problem, the second worst problem, so you know everything. And you need to know everything. Some people don't want to know everything. Oh, that's morbid. But if you're going to get completely better, you have to know all the things that you need to fix. And the fourth thing is it does give you a progress graph. Every time you answer every time you do the app, and you should do the app quite often, to start off with, every day or every second day, the app adds up the scores for all your answers. The biggest problem, the score was 15. The second biggest problem, the score was 12. The third biggest problem, the problem was 11, and so on. And it gives you a total score each time you do the app, and then it draws a graph of all your total scores. And your total scores should be going down, because some of the severe problems have become moderate. Some of the moderate problems have become mild or got better. So it's really very valuable to be able to just look at your instant report and say, wow, I'm getting better, the treatment I'm on is right. Well, wow, no, I'm not getting better, the graph's not going down, the score's not, I better check on the treatment. So you know whether you're on the right treatment or not. Tools. So the first tool is videos. You can just go to smilefixit.com or to mentalhealthvideos.com and find the videos. The second tool is the app. You can do the app download it in 10 seconds and do the check in 10 minutes, and then it stops asking you the questions that you put no to twice, because they're not a problem. So then you can do it in 5 minutes or 7 minutes or 3 minutes. The third tool is the website, the Mental Fix-It, or the mental health videos A-to-Z.com, or the smilefixit.com. The fourth tool is live streaming, which is what we're doing, because some people prefer that, and I can in some ways give better information that way than even with the videos. But anyway, the 1-minute videos and the app and the live streaming are very important. So that's 4 tools. The fifth tool is powder medicines. Now that I'm retired and not licensed, I can't supply you with medicine, but we're going to overcome that problem, and the combination medicines, the 6 combination medicines, I hope we'll have ways of getting other doctors to prescribe them and supply them. But that's a few months away. The 6th tool is pocket dispensers. So you can get your medicine in seconds, and it's working in 5 minutes. The 7th tool is a heartbeat meditation aid. Meditation is so valuable in relieving anxiety and stress. If you can develop a meditation habit, that's a great benefit. The problem is that the people who would benefit most often can't get started, because basically meditation is you focus on breathing steadily. Just focus on steady rhythmical breathing and forget about everything else for 3 to 30 minutes. You take a little break, a little holiday from all the things that stress you and concern you, and just concentrate on your breathing. But your breathing's pretty subtle, and you may not be able to do that. I mean, everybody's mind wanders, and then you just come back to the breathing, and you breathe for a few more breaths, and it wanders again, you come back. But about 30 years ago, I tried to learn meditation, spent money, and went to a course, and there were two things you could do. One is they give you a word, and you keep on saying the word, you focus on the word, and you forget the other thing. The other was to focus on your breathing. But I thought I had to focus as an observer on my breathing, but you don't focus as an observer on your breathing. You focus on doing your breathing steadily. And that's the best in the end. And all the great meditators who've been doing it for 20 or 30 years, they focus on their breathing, focus on doing that steady breathing. But an alternative is you can, I just got a stethoscope and chopped it in halves and made it short. No, I can, that's the hearing part, I can just listen to my heart. And your heartbeat is loud and clear and interesting, and you can focus on it and forget everything else. So I called it a heartbeat meditation aid. If you want one, we can send you one for $25 plus postage. And the other thing is taste. We're developing very nice tastes that are not addictive and don't contain any medicine, and you just drop the powder on your tongue and taste it, and you focus on that. And you also breathe steadily, and that helps you to forget everything else. There are some other things. So that's 7 tools at present. The most important other one, which I'm working on now, is the habits. The habits are so helpful. If you know how to make new good habits and how to break bad old habits, you're going to have a much better life. And I believe you can do that. And I learned a lot. James Clear. I bought 3 or 4 books on meditation. One was terrible, and I threw it in the bin. One was written by a journalist, which is pretty good. I've forgotten his name. Was pretty good, but the best one was James Clear's, and that's a few years ago, and he'd sold 5 million of them, and it was really good. But I've added some things to that. I hope one day I'll contact him and we can collaborate to add the things like the powder medicine. Yeah. So another tool that will be coming will be how to make and break habits. And I'm sure AI will get into the action somewhere. And I think that face recognition will be very important. Often a person's face is a more accurate guide to what they're thinking and feeling than what they tell you in words. And people are not always, you can ask them, what is your problem? And they're not always aware of their problems. One thing that surprising we find is quite a few people who think they had a very good childhood had a terrible childhood. but we don't remember anything before the age of 2. And if things are bad enough, we forget everything else. And some people don't remember anything till they're 6 or 7. And some people have managed to forget terrible things that happened when they were 12 or 15. So facial recognition would be a really wonderful tool, but that's technology, and I'm too old for technology, but I've got a very good tech bloke that helps me, and we'll make connections in that area, and I think we'll end up with about 10 tools. Anyway, I think I started late, and it is late, and hopefully yes, so now I'll try to switch the machine off, and you'll see my technological ignorance, because I don't always get it to switch it off very quickly. And today's Thursday, so I'll be back again on Saturday evening about 6:30 or 7 Perth time. Sydney and Melbourne are 2 hours ahead of us, and New York is 12 hours behind us, and California is 15 hours behind us. And my tech friend has just recently got me hooked up, so this is going on YouTube and TikTok, but we've been doing TikTok for about 4 months and YouTube for a week, and soon he reckons we'll be doing 5 different things. We'll be doing Facebook and Instagram and X as well. So, bye.